History and structure of English morphology. So, characteristics of a language that are due purely to historical accident are the characteristics that in principle are least likely to interest a journal linguist. So, the linguists are not interested in knowing accident that have took place in the life of a certain nation. However, the Norman conquest in 1066 is just such an accident, so its consequences for the vocabulary of English from French may seem to deserve a place only in histories of the English language and not in books about morphological structure. But on the contrary, this French occupation has given English language a rich vocabulary. So, there is more to it than that. If it had not been for the Norman conquest and its aftermath, English morphology would not have acquired the first sight, rather bewildering mix of characteristics we have discussed so far. I mean, a lot of cases of noun, number, lot of word forms of number, lot of forms of the verbs, right? So English would be a different. Old English had a lot of forms, a lot of inflections. What's more, one cannot dismiss characteristics acquired through the Latin lexical intake as unproductive and therefore not truly part of modern English morphology, whereas the story is quite contrary to it. They are part of the English morphology and they are very productive. Some Latin-derived processes such as suffixation of ion and ends are in limited domains just as formally regular as processes such as adverb formation with ly. So these are to some extent there in a limited form, but especially with adverb, they are easily used with every adjective to form adverbs. So if the history of the community of English speakers in the British Isles had been otherwise, the English language would be considerably different today, not just in its repertoire of lexical item, but in how its words are structured. So obviously the history of the community of English owe a lot to the accidents that have taken place, and that has enriched the repertoire or the store of the of English language. So obviously the linguist in general is not interested that what molded the course of history of a certain people and their language, but the linguist cannot deny that certain incidents have given a lot to a language, especially the English language.